Hey guys, what is up and welcome back to my channel. As you guys can tell from the title of today's video, I'm going to be doing my December wrap up. This video is going to be very short because I only read 4 books, which I'm actually really proud of because December has been a crazy month. As you can tell, as of this Monday, had been gone almost 3 weeks, so it has been a while for me because I have been super busy, and for once life was so busy even without doing booktube that I did not have a whole lot of time to read. Work has been really kind of all over the place, life has just kind of been all over the place, but I have read some really great books this month and I'm excited to talk to you guys about them. The first one that I read is Legendary by Stephanie Garber. This is the book that follows Caraval. Now, if you saw my magical readathon TBR, which I totally failed the magical readathon, I did not make it to any of the feasts, I did not make it to watch the movies, I really didn't get to do anything that I wanted to do, but that is okay because I tried. But I wanted to see by reading Legendary if that is a series that I wanted to unhaul because I enjoyed Caraval, but I don't think that I was absolutely in love with it. But I will say I ended up giving Legendary 4 stars. I really enjoyed this book a lot more than the first one. There's a love interest that I was really drawn to in this book, and I think that's what really kept me wanting to read. But there is a lot more magic, I think, in this one. Obviously, the whole series is kind of based around magic, but I loved this one a bit more because it had to do more with like tarot and that kind of magic. There was a lot more mysticism in a way around this series, and that is something that I've always been into, but in particularly trying to get back into. So I feel like this book may have come at a really great time in my life. There are 2 sisters in this book, and the first one happens, the perspective is from the first sister, the second one is from her sister's perspective. And I really like that because you get a dual-sided perspective on the first book, essentially. So you kind of get to follow one sister's Scarlet, you get to follow her journey in the first one, and then you get to see Tella's perspective in the second one. And I really liked that. Also, because of the way the first one ends, the magic of Caraval is kind of explained a little bit. And in the second one, it seemed to be a little bit more adult and kind of put together in like the behind the scenes of how things work and more about the characters. The love interests are actually working with the Caraval, so you get to see things firsthand. And I really, really liked it. Like I said, I ended up giving it 4 stars. If you read Caraval and you were kind of about it, I feel like Legendary might be more up your alley. I just truly liked this book a ton. I liked it way more than I thought I did, and I'm definitely going to be keeping this series because I do feel like because of the way the magic kind of exists in it, it would be a series that I would go back to, and I'm really, really excited for the 3rd one. The next book I read, I actually picked up from the library. I think I had an ebook of it, so obviously I don't have a physical copy of it, but it would be The Wicked Deep. This book was a lot more interesting than I thought it was going to be. It is about 3 sisters who are drowned and being accused of witches. And every year they come back for what is called the Swan season, and they kind of possess the bodies of 3 girls, and their goal is to essentially lure men to the ocean to kill them. And I truly love this book. I ended up giving it 4 stars. I could probably give it 5. Some things were a bit transparent to me, but it was still really enjoyable to read. The plot twist I did not actually see coming, but other stuff I sort of saw. There's like a couple of small plot twists that happened in the book, and I sort of knew that that's what was happening. But like I said, it was still really fun to read. What I truly loved about this book, though, is a lot of the internal dialogue with our main character. I actually really enjoyed her. I also really enjoyed her love interest because, yes, there's a love interest, but you know, that really kept me going. I guess I was in the mood for like love interest this month or something, but I really liked it. But the atmosphere of this book is wonderful. One of the places I really want to move to is like a sleepy kind of rainy city in like Maine, like a little like port town. I love that. If you guys have seen the show Haven, I want to live in Haven minus all the crazy shit that happens. And I feel like this book really delivered that atmosphere for me. And I really like books like that. So that is high on my list of books that I truly, truly loved this month. And that is going to segue into a book that I did not like, and that would be A Blade So Black. I buddy read this with Jesse from Bow Ties and Books. We read it together. They finished it in a couple of days. It kind of took me a while to get to the part that I got at before I DNF'd it. I think I had about 100 pages left before I DNF'd it, but honestly, it's one of those books that I feel like is sort of placated. Like the author threw in a lot of references. There did seem to be a bit of a I'm not like other girls thing going on, but also I was really glad that I read it with Jessie because this is an African-American book. Like the main character is African-American. It's obviously own voices in that way. And there was a lot of things that I learned from it, which is why I ended up giving it 2 stars. The main character is really into geeky things, and people in her life like to accuse her of trying to be more white, and not really, her internal struggle with not really knowing where she belongs and what's okay to be into and what's not, and that kind of stuff. And Jessie did point out that is something that often people do struggle with that are African American, like the being into things that are traditionally white per se. You know, nothing's necessarily that way, but we do kind of create that divide within ourselves anyway. And I liked the ideas, but the other thing that I didn't really like about this book was the super casual dialogue. That drove me nuts. I don't know how many sentences or how many paragraphs I had to reread because there was such a difference in all of the characters. This is an Alice in Wonderland retelling about a girl whose dad dies and she's kind of running away when she finds out the news, and something from Wonderland, a nightmare essentially, comes to her world and is attempting to kill her, and Hatta, or Mad Hatter I'm assuming, shows up and protects her, and she's able to kill it, and he's like, well, you can see me. So he starts to train her to essentially fight these nightmares in Wonderland. So the problem that I had with the dialogue is our main character has a very casual dialogue, and then our other supporting character, Hatta, has his own dialogue, which is sort of like an England accent, and then there are 2 other characters who work with our main character who have Russian accents, and then there's another character who basically speaks in riddles, who's obviously supposed to be the Cheshire Cat. So I had a really hard time switching between the dialogues between people, and I know that would be very hard to do, but I feel like the original book did a really good job of kind of blending them all together. And since this is a retelling, I was kind of basing it off of that. But it just really drove me nuts. And that's why I ended up giving it 2 stars, because I feel like I learned a lot from this book, but I didn't really enjoy reading it because there was a lot of things that prevented me from doing so. And I tend to rate own voices books based on enjoyment. So I feel like enjoyment alone, I probably would have given this 1 star. It's not an absolute fail. It's not something that I wouldn't rate ever, but I feel like because of the dialogue, it was really hard. But because I learned so many great things from it, that is why I ended up giving it another star. I feel like it's very hard to rate own voices books, and I actually got backlash from an African-American woman who says, you know, when I said this book wasn't for me, and she was like, well, no books are for Black people. And I'm like, I understand that, but this really isn't for me. Like, I was reading Pride, I think. So when it comes to own voices books, I feel like it's very hard for me to rate them critically, but this is a book that I just could not get through. Like, I did not finish because of the writing style. I did not like the writing. I didn't like the story. I didn't like the retelling, you know, even though I really thought I would. So that is unfortunate for me, but because I learned so much, like I said, I ended up giving it 2 stars. And the last book I read this month is actually a comic book, and that would be Saga Volume 8. And all I'm gonna say about that is I need Saga Volume 9 right now. I have actually borrowed it from the library twice. I have failed to pick it up twice, and my library only holds books for a week. So I need to re-request this, or what I just need to do is buy the entire series because I already have the first 5, I think, and I just need to finish it off. But that is all the books I read in December. I hope you had a better reading month than me, and if you didn't, that's totally fine. December is a crazy month for things that we all need to get done. But I am still proud of myself. I found some books that I really, really love and that I will read again. I absolutely want to buy The Wicked Deep because I want it on my shelves, because even though, like I said, things were sort of predictable, I still really did enjoy it. Legendary blew me out of the water with my expectations. I had a good reading month even though I only read 4 books. But let me know down below any books you read this month that you really liked, or any books that you read that maybe you think people should probably avoid. I'd be really interested in knowing that. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and think about subscribing. But I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!